Hi, everybody. So, I just wanted this week to talk about the term stress. And I wanted to talk about it because we are going to also address a little bit about this in our next Facebook Live podcast regarding domestic violence. And the next topic we're going to cover is control, taking back control not only of your life, but also of your thoughts, which, based on some of the I shouldn't say recent because it's kind of ongoing posts that I see on so many different social media outlets. This seems to be an ongoing issue with people feeling like their thoughts are controlling them versus them having control over their thoughts, which is actually the reality. But I think that we just think that we don't have control over our thinking, and we do. And there's certainly ways to do that. And one huge way to do that is to stop using the word stress. The word stress is such a generalized term, and it really means almost nothing. And we hear it everywhere. And I was a huge person actually a huge person. Maybe I was definitely someone who used that term all the time. I'd come home from work and be in a heck of a mood, and the first thing I'd say, "Oh, I'm so stressed out from work," and then that's it. And then you just leave that on the table. And what does that even mean? I'm not stressed out from work. I'm a lot of different things. I am frustrated with work. I am maybe angry or sad. I might be a lot of different things. But there's actual feeling and emotion behind that. But I'm not just stressed, and that's it. Because all that is I'm just leaving this word on the table, or I'm leaving it just sitting on my shoulders, and I'm not identifying anything. I'm not identifying how I truly feel. I'm not identifying any emotions behind that, and I'm just leaving it there. And when I'm not identifying that even means, there's absolutely no way for me to address it, and there's absolutely no way for me to look at what I do and don't have control over in that situation, and whether there's anything within that situation that I can actually process or, again, address. And so if I just say I'm stressed, then what does that mean? And so let me just keep going with that. So again, work seems to be one of those things that people oftentimes say they're stressed about. But right now, COVID. So, I'm stressed about COVID. Okay, what does that mean? What about it are you stressed about? So there's so many things going on. So stop for a second and identify what you're trying to say. Are you fearful? Are you fearful that you or a family member might get sick? And what does that even mean? Are you in a category of someone who is higher risk than other people? Are you immunocompromised? Do you have family that you live with that's immunocompromised? Or are you in an age bracket that is a higher risk? What exactly are you so fearful of that wearing masks or social distancing or putting in the precautions that we're supposed to put in, it could possibly make you more fearful? And so if those are, again, that's an issue. And if you're more fearful, let's take a look at that. What is your biggest fear about that? And is there something more that you could be doing in order to start reducing some of those feelings? And taking a look at that. So if you feel that, again, and now this is not a judgment about masks and social distancing and washing your hands. I'm literally just speaking from the things that I hear and see. So again, if we're told that these are the things that we're supposed to do to try and keep us safe, if you still feel like that's not working or going to work for you, then what other precautions do you feel that you need to put in place for your family to make you feel safer? Start looking at that then. Take more control over your situation. Or again, if you haven't even left the house and you haven't put any of these precautions in place, again, you're not really taking control. You're allowing fear to take control of your situation. So again, you can say, okay, let me do what I've been told. I'm not in a high risk. I'm not in a high risk population. So if I'm told that if I make sure I just wash my hands, I social distance, and I wear a mask when I'm not able to socially distance, or go ahead and wear it even when you are. If I'm doing those things, I'm taking control of my situation. I'm taking control of my space. So again, we start to limit those feelings of fear. Obviously, this thing isn't going away, and we all understand that. So what do we need to do, again, to make us start to decrease whatever feelings we're having? So anger oftentimes is accompanies the term stress. Frustration accompanies the term stress. Grief also accompanies stress. We don't always acknowledge that, but it does. Depending on what stage of grief somebody is in, they can certainly, whether it's guilt or it's anger or depressed, wherever we're at in the phases of grief, they can certainly, again, you can come home and just feel like stressed because other things that add to your plate sometimes when you are in the process of grief, it is very difficult sometimes to take on other things in your life um, that cause you distress, which is also very different than just stress. And so again, you come home and it's like, oh, I feel so stressed out. And okay, let's talk about that again. Is there really something going on at work or with your family or whatever that is actually contributing to this? Look at that. Take a step back and actually label it, acknowledge it. And is it something that you can address? If you feel like it is, then do so. Same thing with, let's talk about a job. Because again, I feel like that's really is such a main place that people feel stressed. Maybe that's because that's what I used to say all the time. So, you come home and you feel stressed out. Well, okay. About what? Well, I got in a huge fight with my coworker. Okay. So a fight was an issue. What was the fight about? Well, I asked her if she could please take on this role. We were both asked to take on this project. I've taken on 75% of the project. I simply asked her to take on this 25%, and essentially this is when it's due. And if I don't do it, then it's not going to get done. So there's a lot of things obviously going on there. There's anger, there's resentment, there's frustration. And with not only the coworker, possibly also with your supervisor. Why are they not overseeing this project? Why is it, that they don't know what's going on? So a lot of things may be going on. So, that's a situation that you look at and go, okay, can you address that? If you have tried to address it with your coworker, it's falling on deaf ears. You have enough work on your plate right now and you cannot add more to it. Is there a direct supervisor that you can now go to and say, listen, this is where I'm at and I can't do any more? What can be done to rectify the situation? And that's where you begin. Same thing with, family life. Oh my God, I'm so stressed out. Okay, what are you so stressed out about? Well, you know what I mean? I have one child that's sick. I have one child, that I need to figure out their daycare situation. I have this child that I think is going to have to do remote learning. Again, we're talking about COVID and the whole school situation. So many things are up in the air with that, even though I know we're starting to get information as to what's going to happen. But because there are still circumstances that are up in the air for many families, as far as who's going to stay home with kids and those people that can't stay home, what kind of daycare are they going to find for their kids if their kids are not old enough to stay home by themselves, if they're supposed to do remote learning? So there's a lot going on. And so let's break that down. Number one, what's the biggest concern? Biggest concern, again, could be, well, I don't want my child to go to school and get sick. Okay, what do you need to do in order to hopefully prevent that from happening? What safety precautions do you need to take in order for your child to be safe? Start there. Then next, what's the next thing you have control over? What's the next thing that is causing you, again, distress? The next thing is, I don't know what I'm going to do with my other child here that, say for instance, it needs extra help, needs all the support, needs extra support at school, can't be home all the time, can't do remote learning. We tried that. It's not going to happen. We need somebody, either to be in the home full time or we need to send them to school full time. What is our option? Okay, well, let's look at that. So, and I'm not here to give everybody the answers to these things. I'm not in your family, and I'm not here to, again, judge. And no matter what I say, people are going to come at me with school stuff. It's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm simply trying to say that there are circumstances that come up in our lives, and we need to take them and break them down and first acknowledge what the circumstance is and how we're feeling about it and how it's affecting us. Because it's not just saying I'm stressed out. It's I'm stressed out. What does that mean? It means I'm having a multitude of feelings because of this circumstance. And we have to realize that those feelings affect our behavior. So much so. And not only our behavior, our outward behavior, but we're also internalizing things. And so it's affecting how we're sleeping. And it's affecting, again, possibly for other people, it affects if you already have, dealing with some anxiety or maybe some depression and things, and underlying anxiety and depression, it can kick that stuff in. It can increase those things. So you start to see an increase in your anxiety levels. You start to have more panic attacks if you have them. You start to see, an increase in depressive symptoms. You start to also, again, issues with sleep, as I mentioned. Also physical side effects. So, again, sometimes people that are prone to migraines and headaches, you start to see an increase in that. Because part of that too is you get so sidetracked with all of these other issues, you're not taking care of yourself the way that you maybe used to, or should, I should say. So one of the key issues with headaches sometimes is hydration. You're not drinking enough water, and you're forgetting to drink water because seriously, that's not even on your that's so not on your radar right now. You're thinking about 1,000 different things right now. So thinking about hydrating, I looked over there because my water bottle's over here. But um, you know, it's I get that I'm saying so many things right now, but I'm saying so many things because I'm making a point that it all spirals, and it's all interconnected. So it's not just me rambling about the word stress and who gives a shit about stress and the word stress and why am I making a big deal about it, and can you just leave me alone and let me just sit around saying I'm stressed out and wallow in it. You can wallow in whatever you want to, and I've watched that too. I've watched people choose to just say I'm stressed, leave it on the table, and choose to wallow in that and not do anything about it, and every single day say the same thing over and over again. Well, I'm just stressed out. They will say to you the things they're stressed out about. Well, school. Okay. Well, this, well, that. And they'll kind of point out the things that they're stressed about, and that's fine. But ultimately, just kind of venting the things that we're quote unquote stressed out about means nothing. Talk about that. What does that mean? I am scared shitless of my kid going back to school. I am scared shitless of my kid that's on an IEP and a 504 staying home because I just watched them suffer and fail at home. I'm scared shitless again of my kids going because what if they come home and they make my immunocompromised um, grandparents sick? Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about real feelings, and let's talk about what you have control over. Do you have an option to have your kids stay home? Do you have an option to get in touch with a teacher or former teacher? And is there a way to get all these kids tested and maybe they can all, find a place to be taught, do some kind of homeschooling? Homeschooling is not new. It's not a new concept. It is absolutely a possibility. And when you think of homeschooling, many people think of maybe one kid at home, and it's not the case. From my own personal experience with my niece, it is so not that. So, you can have, you know, 20, 25 kids, maybe not all in the same room, but doing different things, kind of, again, socializing and doing so much more than what you think of. So there are possibilities. Just obviously it's different, it's pain, but if you truly feel the way you feel about your child going back to school, okay, well, let's start exploring. Again, let's talk about your family. You have people in your family that literally cause you stress. Okay, what the hell does that mean? So you have one person who is just, every time you're around them, they just have negative things to say, constantly telling you negative things about you, questioning the things that you do. Anytime there's something, you have something good to say, they're always that person that kind of comes at you with that opposite negativity. That basically no matter what you say, they always have something negative to throw at you. The I hate to say it, but the typical Debbie Downer. Do you want to be around that? Do you have to? No, you don't. So I feel stressed when I'm around my family. No, you don't. What you feel is, and again, I'm not going to tell you what you feel. You can define it. You can say how you feel. And you don't feel it around your family. You feel it around this one person who makes you feel a certain way. And now what are you going to do about that? Are you going to confront? Are you going to not speak to that person anymore? Are you going to make different choices about the time that you spend with your family and who you spend it with? What are you going to do to start taking control back of the situation that you're in? Or are you just going to say, I'm so stressed when I'm around my family, and let that be that? And just say it every time that you go to your family's house. So everyone can know that you're stressed out when you see your family, but you're doing nothing about that. And I'm not trying to sound negative and mean and all that, but I'm just making a point that we have so much more control over our thoughts and our situations. And we just sometimes choose to throw it out there with this term and think that that's enough. Like, I've dealt with it because I've told everyone I'm stressed out. Or I've told everyone I'm stressed out, and then they'll ask me about what, and I'll give them a list of things going on in my life, and then that's it. Because I'm really not going to do anything about it. I'm just going to leave it there. And I understand that we're not all in a place to do things, to change, to make changes, but there doesn't have to be a magnificent change in your life. You don't have to quit your job to make positive changes in your day to day when you go to work every day. You don't. You don't have to make, you don't have to get divorced from your husband or wife or significant other or whomever in order to start making some improvements in how you feel in your relationship, or to see them, or to get on the same page regarding parenting. You don't have to do that. You don't have to stop talking to every single person in your family because you have one or two people within your family system that is toxic, that you can see is unhealthy for you to be around. So they don't have to be significant changes, but I'm simply trying to say that identify what it is that's going on, identify the feeling that you have, and then take a step back and see what it is that you can do to start addressing it and take control of it. And I'd be happy to talk about that further, but I'm just trying to put it out there. Like, again, I'm not trying to tell people what to do because it's not my role to tell anyone what to do. It's just to say that you have more say and control over your life and your thoughts than you give yourselves credit for. There are certainly enough things in this world that we don't have control over. And obviously, this stupid virus is one of them. But how you handle it, especially in front of your kids, things like that, you have control over that. Even when I tell people in my practice, get up, I know that I'm also part of this new group with the 3 pieces of gratitude. And I was doing that last year, and I do it in my practice every week. You have control over that mindset. Every morning, get up, say 3 things that you're grateful for. Try it. Try for a week. Say 3 things in the morning that you're grateful for. I don't care what they are. Your pillow, your blanket, and your coffee. If you drink coffee. And when you go to bed at night, do the same thing. 3 pieces of gratitude before you go to bed. That's it. Whatever it may be. Sun is shining. You're healthy. Whiskey. Imagine what it would be like if you woke up every day and your mindset was just right then and there. The first thing you do is think of something positive, and right before you go to bed, all you're doing is thinking of something positive. What the hell does this have to do with stress and control? It has to do with the fact that you're looking at taking control of your thoughts, and you're taking control of some of the negative thoughts that you're having, and you're pushing out the term stress, and you're pushing out all of the negativity that you have going on in your head. And you're doing that in the morning, and you're doing it at night. And I would recommend doing it longer for a week, but just try it for a week. That's it.